I was on Instagram and then I realized, wait, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to get going. By the way, if you don't follow along on Instagram, it's motormouth_auto. And Andrea, hey, look, Andrea just popped up there. Andrea has now gone online with Instagram for the channel as well. It's motormouth_Andrea. And I guarantee you more guys will go and check out Andrea because there's pictures of her and cars. All right. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I got an email yesterday, and the Acura TLX Type S, the high performance one, with the turbocharged engine, the 6-cylinder engine, they hadn't announced the horsepower. But in the press release for Pikes Peak, which is the hill climb, the Acura TLX Type S is going to be the pace car, and they're actually going to have a race version going up Pikes Peak as well. It's happening on August 30th, so exactly a month from today. So what they did, though, is they included in the information about the car, the horsepower. So it says here, powering the TLX Type S is Acura's new 3-liter V6 turbo engine, expected to produce 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque, and all the power going to the super handling all-wheel drive system. So there you go, 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Now, some people will think that's a disappointment because, you know, the G70 has 365 horsepower, and a lot of people were thinking maybe they would outdo those guys. But anyway, you have to see how it drives in order to get the feeling for it. Okay, now we're going to do some pictures. Time for pictures. There it is. All right. Here is Ash Patel. He just got a brand new XT4. He says he absolutely loves it. It's you know what I like about the Cadillac design is they don't really look like everything else, especially the front end. If you look at the front end, the way the headlamps are and everything, I like a lot of the new Cadillac products. And then we have Suresh sent a picture of his ILX, which is a highly underrated car and a real good deal. So basically you're buying the old Civic Si with a great engine, 200 horsepower, and available with dual clutch, which you can't get with the regular Si. Okay, now I got to get these in order because Hamid has sent in stuff. Now Hamid lives in Sydney, Australia. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to go to Sydney, Australia, so I'm going to turn that off. I've been there just once. Absolutely beautiful. And he said he started following the channel with the XC40 video several years ago, and now he loves what happens on the channel, so for that I appreciate it. And he says in Australia they're starting to use Passat wagons as police cars. Now that's really cool. And that's the European Passat, not the Passat that we get here in North America. And then he himself has bought a Passat. There's his Passat. That's a nice looking car. The European Passat is different than the one that we have here. And I wish we could get that car. Unfortunately, we don't. Come in. Hey, it's beer o'clock. Look who's here with the back. Stick your head in there, Jack. I'll get out of the way.
There you go. Oh, well.
Jack's all down with basketball and hockey.
Yeah.
Except the Canucks lost last night 4-1.
Blackhawks won 4-0 against the defending champs. That's what you love to see.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Off you go. And the NBA started up today. I think it's tomorrow for the NHL. Okay, where were we? Hamid has also just bought his son a Polo. That's the new Polo that's just come out. Okay, enough of that. Hey, if you want to get your picture through, if you want to do a video or you want to do a picture, send it to Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca. That's ZACK if you speak American. All right. Car Cost Canada is the main sponsor of the channel. I've had several people getting in touch with me saying that they have purchased cars using it, and it's a really good service. And if you have any feedback, make sure you put it in the comments. So let's get at it. I haven't seen any of these yet. Hey, Zach, happy Thursday. Is Hyundai a reliable brand? I'm confused with Honda, Toyota, and Hyundai. Well, what I can tell you is if you look at the quality studies that have come out in the last few years, whether it's Consumer Reports or J.D. Power, most notably J.D. Power, Hyundai and Kia and Genesis have all bubbled right up to the very, very top. In fact, they're all near the very top again this year, and Toyota has fallen down. So take that for what it is. The trend is certainly moving towards the Korean brands getting much, much better quality. I think all the import car makers are reliable, especially when compared to American cars. I would disagree with that. I think that a lot of American cars get a bad rap, and a lot of American cars are actually quite good. One that I reference here all the time is the Chevy Equinox. The Chevy Equinox is, right, if you look at car manufacturers doing things right, and they certainly seem to have cornered the car market. Finally bought a vehicle for the girlfriend, an '09 Civic with 160K, black on black, sunroof, got it for 6K. She's loving it. That's from Kevin. He goes on to say, just need to get remote start for our miserable Edmonton winters. I don't like it. I don't like remote start. I know it's cold. I get it. Edmonton is cold, but it's terrible for the car and terrible for the environment. But you know, you got to keep the girlfriend happy. It's interesting, you know. I was at if you follow along on Instagram, and if you haven't done it yet, I'd like you to do that now. I'd like to actually go on and see on my Instagram how many of you are signing up right now. Well, so if you do that, it's motormouth_auto, and then it's motormouth_Andrea to follow Andrea. So follow both now. She'll really like that. If she gets a whole bunch of you subscribing right now, she'll go, what's going on? So she can't hear me. She'll be going, what's going on? How come all of a sudden my Instagram's blowing up? So do it. Get your phone and go motormouth_auto and follow along, and she'll be like, what? I don't know what's happened. But you can do mine as well. What I'm talking about, though, is on my Instagram today, I put up the Mercedes-Benz SLS that I got from my buddy Cornelius at Core Cars. And I said to him, how's it going out there with the car business? He said, the inventory for cars at dealerships right now, they have no stock. Because what's happened is, and this kind of goes contrary to what I thought would happen, so we had no car sales for 3 or 4 months. And then all of a sudden there's this pent-up demand. People have to, return their lease. They have to get a car because their car is old, or there's some great deals and they want to take advantage of them. But the dealers weren't getting new inventory arriving because the factories were closed down. So right now the dealers are in this sweet spot where the inventory is low, the demand has come back, but they don't have the cars to fill the pipe yet. So what I think is going to happen is the prices for used cars are not going to come down, and new car market is going to be quite competitive. But what's going to happen, my prediction is 6 months from now, when more and more cars are arriving, what's going to really happen? I don't sure. Just checking this here. I don't have a super chat because you can take advantage of the super chat if you do feel inclined. Hi, Zach. Time has come. My wife wants to trade my GTI for the Tiguan. I test drove it yesterday. I'm very pleased with the ride in the interior. However, I felt it's sluggish. Your thoughts? Andrew, I have the answer for you. It's going to cost you money. What you need to try is the Audi Q3, because the Q3 has the GTI engine in it, okay? And the Tiguan is bigger, and the Q3 is the short wheelbase. If you're not familiar, the Tiguan that we get here is what's called the long wheelbase version in Europe. We don't get the short wheelbase version, the one that they typically get in Europe. However, the Audi Q3 is based on that shorter wheelbase Tiguan platform, and it uses the same engine as the current GTI. So you get a more powerful engine, you get a better handling utility because it's a little bit smaller, nicer interior, nicer looking as well. So if you kind of have to give up the GTI to keep the boss happy, go and check out the Q3. Now, I'm not sure what your budget is, but it's a notable difference between the two when it comes to power. So you got to be happy too, man. You got to be happy as well. And here's Andrew with his second question. I'm worried I'll get bored of it. Thanks, Zach. So there you go. There's your answer. Get the Q3 if you can afford it. I know you don't particularly like Teslas, but which of the current models would you buy if you had to pick one? I think that the smart money right now is on the new utility, the Model Y. Like, I don't know why anybody would buy the Model 3 when you can get the Model Y. Everybody wants utility vehicles. So what's happened with Tesla is the Model S was out. That's the only one you could get. Everybody bought a Model S. Then they brought out the Model X. They had some success with it, but not nearly widespread mass adoption. So there were people who bought them. Then the Model 3 came out. What happened to Model S and Model X sales? They went in the crapper. I mean, they barely sell any Model S and Model X anymore. Everybody's buying the Model 3. Now the Model Y's out. What do people buy? They buy compact utility vehicles. That's what sells. Everybody's buying utility vehicles. So what you're going to see now is Model Y sales are going to really expand at the cost of Model 3 sales. I don't think it's going to be incremental. I just think people who are shopping for one are now going to say, that one's off the radar. I'm going to get the Model Y. If I was buying one, that's the one I'd buy, mostly because that's what people are... Like, I really truly believe that Model 3s, once the Model Y has been out for a couple of years, all these Model 3s that have come onto the market, there's not going to be great demand for them. People are all going to want utilities. That trend isn't going away. Hi, Zach. Hope Andrew will join the live stream sometime. Great channel for the avid car guy. You know, that's a good idea. We should do one together. That'd be fun. I'll run that by her at dinner tonight. How's that? See what she says. Ronaldo. SQ5, GLC 43, X3 M40, or Macan base considering fun and cost of ownership. Well, it's interesting because we just had the GLC 43 last week. The video will be coming out on Saturday morning, okay? SQ5 I've driven, but it's been a couple of years. The X3 and the GLC 43 are very close when it comes to performance. The X3 is newer, okay? It just came out last year. The GLC is at the end of its run. So I would say it's between those two, okay? It's between the Mercedes and the BMW. The SQ5, they're going to have an update to it, but it's mostly just cosmetic for next year. So that GLC is kind of in its last year or so. There's going to be a new C-Class shown before the end of the year. And then the GLC based on that C-Class will be coming out sometime next year. So what I would do is look at the X3 because it's only been out for a year. It's the latest technology. That being said, there's not very many vehicles that I get that I'm reluctant to give back, but I really did like the GLC. The only thing is it's going to have the old dash and tech and stuff, right? So if you're not in a rush, maybe wait to see what that new GLC looks like. So distilling it down, it's between those two German brands, Mercedes and BMW. Here's a classic example of what happens all the time on this chat. When will you be testing the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo? The vehicle was just announced 10 to 14 days ago. I mean, people write on here all the time, when are you going to get a chance to drive the new TLX? It's like, well, it hasn't even been hit the ground yet. So when I find out when these things are coming, I will let you know. But, I mean, they just announced that car. So we'll have to wait and see. Very excited. We got a 19 Audi Allroad. I actually thought it would be impossible to make a deal as our offer was low and was based on getting lots of trade-in. Well, congratulations, Portuguese Water Dog. I'm glad to hear. That's a nice car. And just trying to... Now you might be able to answer the question. Is that the new touch-sensitive infotainment screen, or is that the previous version? I'm trying to remember what was the model year switchover. I really like that car. I'm a big A4 fan. Those of you who, are on here all the time know that I'm a big A4 fan, and I really like the Allroad because I'm a big wagon fan as well. Super chat. James is back. One beer at a time. I haven't even had a sip yet. We're going to have the subscriber sip. James, could you throw a couple of zeros on that super chat for me? Okay. Let's go back to where I was here. You got about 13,000 in discount incentive. We made a deal amazing. Well, that's awesome. Good for you. Did you use Car Cost Canada? Please let me know if you did. Car Cost Canada is what you want to use if you're looking for all of the incentives and deals and rebates. That's what you want to get into. What is your review driving routine? Are there particular roads and speeds to help differentiate cars? Well, Eric, it would be easy for me to say, oh, I've got a set route and I do all. That's not true. I just use the car. The thing is, when you have been test driving as many cars as I get to test drive, so I get anywhere from, well, less now because of COVID, because I'm not traveling, but I would be trying anywhere from 80 to 100 different cars a year and doing that year after year after year. The high and low points of cars bubble up really quickly when you test drive these cars. So I would suggest that you do need to have some highway time or some higher speed time with a car, because a car at highway speed, it can be very different than one in the city and vice versa. But I basically just use the car regularly over the week that we have it. But when you've been doing this for a while, the high and low points come out pretty quickly. Bruce is saying the Tiguan is selling very well in Calgary. The R-Line models look terrific. Too bad has sheep and wolf's clothing. When are your VW contacts going to admit GTI engine is needed? Well, you might not be aware, but they've already made the announcement for the updated Tiguan that's going to be coming for next year. Engine, no change. It's all cosmetics. And I totally agree with you. I would love for them to come out with a performance version. But that's why I really do believe that I'm a big fan of the Q3 because of it. Another super chat here. TK Porsche. Hi, Zach. What collectible car would you choose as your daily if you ever swore off new cars? What would be my daily if my daily would be an E39 M5. That would be my daily. That's just one of the best cars ever made. So that's the V8 manual transmission, 400 horsepower, rear-wheel drive only. That would be my daily. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. Lori T. First of all, I want to give Lori T a shout out because we don't get many women on the channel do the live chat. So, Lori, thanks for being here. I'm looking at the Buick Encore GX. Have you ever had a chance to review it? Finding there's no inventory out there. Lori, I have to apologize. I haven't driven that vehicle yet. But what you're seeing is what I was talking about moments ago. Inventory is very low. A lot of these dealerships had received, or the factories were all shut, right? Dealerships are all shut. Now the dealerships are open and the factories are starting to ramp up, but they have to distribute cars to everybody around North America. So the inventory on the car dealerships lots that they had before COVID is all being gobbled up. So the dealerships have no cars, and you're seeing that. So my advice to you, Lori, is if you're not in a rush, I would suggest that you wait and talk to the dealer, find out when they're going to be getting some more. Jerome Levesque Boucher. Hey, Zach, thanks for replying during the last stream. So XC40 or Q3? XC40 it is. So you might not be aware, Jerome was coming back and forth talking about which one he's going to choose. The price was exactly the same between the XC40 and the Q3. The residual value was the same. The repair predicted reliability was the same. So it came down to which one the wife likes. So I'm guessing that's how that went. The boss liked the Volvo. Good choice. I mean, I would suggest, and by the way, I did a review of the XC40 and all of these guys were saying, are you mansplaining? Because I said it had a lot of features that it would appeal to women. Are you mansplaining, dude? But the greatest vindication was that the XC40 won the Woman's Car of the Year. I was like, and I pinned that at the very top. I'm like, there you go. I know what I'm talking about. Another super chat. Zach, you already answered my question regarding stock at dealers. I think it's only except is the Civic and the Corolla, lots of stock. Well, yeah, a couple of things. You got to remember, where are the vehicles made, right? So the Civic is made in Canada, and so easily accessible. Vehicles like RAV4 will be easily accessible because they have inventory that they can get. It's not going to take a long time. So the vehicles in North America where they have production, a lot of utility vehicles from the German brands like the X3 and the X5 and the GLC and so on that are made in the US or made in Mexico will be much easier to get. The Buick Encore that you talked about moments ago, I believe is made, believe it or not, in China, but don't quote me on that. And that's not a bad thing. A Buick in China is a huge brand. Let me just find where I was. I'm jumping around a bit. Yeah, so this is somebody confirming what I mentioned a moment ago. Type S confirmed with 355 horsepower. What do you think? It all comes down to how it drives. I mean, how the rest of the car is put together, the handling, all of that. I mean, what you see on paper is one thing, and straight line performance and acceleration and horsepower is really actually quite low on my list of things. What happened? My light went out. Stay with me. To wiggle the cable. Had to wiggle the cable. Straight horsepower, peak horsepower for me is actually low on things that I'm looking for. Low and mid-range torque is much, much more important for everyday driving than peak horsepower. How the transmission works with that mid and low range torque and how quick it is, how they work together, the steering feel, the tipping of the throttle, how responsive it is to drop a gear and get the revs up. All of those things are much, much more important than peak horsepower. So how the car drives is going to be vitally important. Vlogsphere. I almost bought a RX-8 the year they came out, but now when I find them ugly, what's a car you initially loved and now hate? Well, that's a good question. That I initially loved and now hate. I'd have to think about that. I never thought that car actually proportionally looked good. I'll tell you one car that I don't like the looks of, and people actually killed me online because they said I don't like the looks of it. Is the Mazda MX-5, the Miata, the MX-5, the RF with the retractable roof and those buttresses down the side. The proportions to me of that car are all wrong. It's funny, it's another Mazda, but I just don't like the look of it. And I said that in my review, and everybody was like, "It's the most beautiful. You don't know what you're talking about." It's like I know what I like, and I don't like it. Just doesn't. The proportions are wrong. Would it be safe to have an M240 rear-wheel drive with manual transmission with winter tires in Toronto? Well, here's the thing: I'm not sure how old you are. I grew up in Toronto, and all of the cars then were rear-wheel drive, or mostly rear-wheel drive, big American rear-wheel drive cars. They didn't have the quality of winter tires we have today, and they certainly didn't have traction and stability control, and we could get around. I mean, you would slip and slide around, but you could get where you needed to go. The winter tires is the number one thing. Good quality winter tires. And also learning how to drive in the winter is vitally important. Like starting in first gear in slippery conditions, you might want to try starting in second gear. It might seem counterproductive. Or start in first gear and then quickly shift to second gear. Get the revs low. Excuse me. You don't want a lot of torque going to the wheels. They can spin. So that would be my suggestion, is really invest in a good set of winter tires. It's going to make a huge difference. And you can certainly drive it in the winter. A big part of it is the gray matter. Hassan is here. Hey, Zach. As always, amazing channel and work. I remember watching you back at under 25,000 subs. Well, thanks, man. That's been a while. The whole sub thing is a kind of a game. Like, I mean, I don't really try to ask people. I mean, we have a little bit in the last 6 months. Excuse me, ask for subscriptions, but probably my mistake. Probably should have. I have, if people are always saying you cough a lot, and I have acid reflux, and somebody in the last chat suggested I look up a certain doctor, sort of a homeopath online, and suggested apple cider vinegar. And I watched the video, and I bought some apple cider vinegar, which sounds disgusting, but I actually like the taste of vinegar. And you drink it several times during the day. And I have to say, I think it's working. It's only been 2 or 3 days, but I'm going to give it a shot. So if you have the same thing as me, you cough or whatever because of reflux, check it out, apple cider vinegar. I think what's making me cough is this beer, but I'm still going to drink it. What the hell's going on here? Single Malt is saying, I don't get the live notifications lately. Driving home with some cold Leffe. All right. Would you still take Boxster S over a 993 Cabriolet? No, I take a 993 Cabriolet for sure. The only issue I have between a Boxster S and a 993 Cabriolet is if it was just me driving, it would be 993 Cabriolet. However, our next Porsche will be a shared car with Andrea and I. So as much as I would like a 993 Cabriolet, I think it's going to be a Boxster S because we'll get the PDK. I have to, I get my Jones driving manuals with this job, but that would be a good compromise. And good choice on the beer. I think it's a little strong. Isn't it quite strong? Did I say it right? As an American, I can assure you that most of our cars are garbage. Well, that's just not true. If you go and look at the quality studies over the last couple of years, domestic car manufacturers are ahead of many import brands. So there you go. We got another super chat here. Richard T. Subscriber SIP. The intricacies of doing a live show assures everyone that you're live. Love it. Keep it coming. Like the Mustang review. Thank you, brother. Yeah, the Mustang EcoBoost just dropped this morning. That's an interesting car. It's a great car. I love the Mustang. And this EcoBoost with the performance pack is a great car. You get 20 more horsepower. You get a sport exhaust, which actually sounds good. The car is nicely balanced. The weight is really good. It's a really good Mustang. But there's a better Mustang. It's called the 5-liter GT. And that's the whole time you would be driving it going, I could have had a V8. All right, where was I? Where the hell am I? I got to catch up from where I was. Sorry, everybody. How far back do I have to go? Jeez. All right. I have a 2016 Tucson, Sonata and Tucson, both great vehicles. A little boring, but trouble-free. There's an ad for Hyundai. I was in the market for a used luxury performance sedan. So far, I'm considering a 15-16 Hyundai Genesis, Kia Stinger, Accord Sport 2-liter T. Any others I should be looking at? Well, yeah, I would say the Hyundai Genesis is not what I would consider a performance sedan unless you're getting the 5-liter V8. That is a great engine. That is a really good engine. The Accord Sport 2-liter turbo with a manual, that's a pretty fun car. And the Stinger is great as well. The only problem I have with the Stinger is I find the suspension, for my taste, just for my taste, are a little bit soft. And you know what? James chimed in below you and said Mazda 6 Turbo. That's a good choice as well. Do you think GM dropped the ball on the Blazer by not making it more off-capable like the new Bronco? Here's a newsflash. It's selling incredibly well. GM has got a hit on their hands. Now, I haven't seen many around, but I don't really live in a domestic, market area here. Most of the domestic vehicles we see in Vancouver are trucks, but the stats and what I'm reading online is it's doing well. So I don't know. C Square says, hit the like button, everybody. I can get behind that. We've got 68 likes and 200 people watching. I just want to go on and see how many we got on Instagram. How many new people did we get? Oh, we got a bunch. We got a few followers. Only 3. Come on, guys. You can do better than that. Motormouth_auto to subscribe to my Instagram. And Motormouth_Andrea to follow Andrea. And her pictures are prettier than mine because she's in them. So she would love it if she got a surprise and was all of a sudden like, I can't believe I got 10 or 20 people liking all in the last hour. What happened? And then I'll tell her. And then I'll get bonus points. So do it for me. Motormouth_Andrea. Parm. Which SUV to buy? A 2020 Ford Explorer or Hyundai Palisade from Edmonton? Parm, this is really easy. Go and watch the video that we dropped last Saturday, not even a week old, of that exact vehicle. I'll just skip to the end for you. Buy the Palisade. Actually, I prefer the Telluride. Andrea likes the Palisade. I like the Telluride. I did not like the Explorer. I didn't mind the way it drove, but the interior is just crap, if you ask me. So there you go. Sorry, guys. I'm just going through some of these. Some people are talking back and forth to each other. This is Colin saying, have to say all of these screens in cars are a real mess. Well, there is certainly some pushback on it, and I referenced the J.D. Power initial quality study of vehicles, and it's interesting. As soon as I saw it, a couple of things popped to mind. One was the domestic brands scored above the Japanese brands. The Korean brands scored near the very top. And the vehicles with the new infotainment systems, so Audi has the MMI Touch system and Mercedes-Benz has the MBUX system. If you look at the quality scores that came out just the last few months, both of those brands are right near the very bottom. And the big complaint from most people when it comes to vehicles, buying them, having to go back to the dealer issues is around infotainment screens. And those brands went to infotainment screens that were certainly much more complicated, glitchy, working the bugs through, and those sorts of things. So, yeah, you're not alone. See, here's a perfect example. The Porsche Macan, the one that's out right now, has the big screen, which is just over 10 inches, but it still has all of the regular buttons in the center. And that's the one I like. That's the one I think is great because you get the bit of both. You get the bigger screen. There's more real estate there. That's fine. But then you still get the tactile buttons. That's the one I would choose. That's just one example. Okay, we have another super chat here. Charlottetown Spud, nice to see you, brother. American-built cars fall short in quality and reliability to their overseas competition. Still true? Or are American cars getting closer? Well, I just referenced that, Mr. Spud. That they are getting better. I mean, if you look at what people like me are saying, now the Explorer is an example. I'd say the interior is shockingly bad, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be a reliable vehicle. We have to wait and see on that. But a lot of the General Motors vehicles, actually, in my opinion, are some of the best in their class often, and so there you go. I disagree with domestics being terrible. Some of their vehicles are really quite good. Okay, let me just go back to where I was again. This is what I do. I go to the super chat, and then I got to go and find out where the hell I was. All right, here we go. Back to where I was. Love your show. Porsche Cayenne Coupe. Is it worth paying the premium for the hybrid version over the petrol-only S? I would say that the Cayenne S is a fantastic engine. My God, that 2.9 liter twin turbo is fantastic. And if I was buying a Cayenne today, that's the one I would buy. I'm not totally enthralled with the hybrid system for everyday use, but if that S is just fantastic. I think they just did a great job. The engine is, I don't know if you've driven it yet, but the engine is fantastic. It's the same engine that's in the Audi RS5. Hey Zach, Porsche Panamera or Aston Martin Rapide, used $100,000. Easy, Panamera. Only because of resale value. Clearly, just because of resale value. I'm sure the Aston and the back seat of that Aston Martin is like a clown car. I mean, it's horrible. I don't know if you sat in the back of it. We were in New York for the auto show a couple of years ago, and we stayed at a hotel right at Times Square called the Knickerbocker. Look it up. It's pretty posh. We were there with Nissan for the auto show. We flew in a day early. I got food poisoning. I was so sick. But then Brian Chow from Everyday Reviews and I were there together. He goes, come on, let's go to B&H, which is the big camera store in New York. And they had a car out front. So we walk out. We were like one of the first guests. The hotel had been open like 3 days. So we walk outside and they said, oh, we have a car. It can drive you over to B&H. And it was an Aston Martin Rapide. And I was the one who got the short stick and sat in the back seat. Holy crap, that thing's tiny. So I folded myself up and I got in it, and then we bounced along the streets of New York on this really crashy, horrible suspension. Now, I did have food poisoning. It didn't feel very good, but it was a horrible experience. Panamera, all day. I feel so much better now. And the Panamera is just a lovely car to drive on a long trip. Really, really nice car, especially if you're doing long drives. Here's the thing is, if I had to drive from here all the way to New York City, it would be a Panamera Turbo all day long, or a GTS. That's what I would take. Okay, I gotta go back to where I was. Portuguese Water Dog, because he was talking about the great deal he got on his Audi A4 All-Road. And yes, Car Cost Canada was our starting point and very helpful. So there you go. So Portuguese Water Dog just got a 19 Audi A4 All-Road. I think he said it was $13,000 discount on the car. So go to Car Cost Canada, type in the vehicle you're looking for, use the promo code Motormouth, the name of this channel. You become an expert member, and away you go. Josh is next. Good to see you, Josh. In the last 3 years, which car company has been the biggest surprise positively to you and the biggest disappointment? Well, the biggest surprise to me, it continues to be the Korean brands. They just they hit above their weight over and over and over. Look at the Stinger. Look at the G70. Look at the Telluride and the Palisade. I really like the Telluride. That's the one I would pick. These are fantastic products that people are really gravitating towards. And yeah, that is really the biggest surprise. Biggest disappointment? I'd have to think about that because I'd have to go through all the different cars. I was really disappointed in this Explorer. I thought, they had a perfect example to do something exciting with it, and they didn't. And the other thing is, I'm not jumping on the Bronco bandwagon for all the hype. I know it's a cool looking vehicle. The Bronco's back. I get it, but I want to drive it. I'm not totally sold. I want to drive it. All right, just going past a few we've already talked about. Is it okay to tow with a CVT? Well, the manufacturers will tell you yes, and some vehicles like the Pathfinder have up to 6,000 pound towing capacity. I believe the RAV4 Hybrid you can tow. So yeah, they do say you can for sure tow with some of them. Now make sure you check the weight. But yeah, that's one of the things is, I prefer regular automatics. I'm not a big CVT guy, but they're out there. I mean, a lot of times you just can't get away from them, unfortunately. Charlottetown Spud, back again. My wife just purchased a 16 GMC Acadia, first American product we have ever owned. Fingers crossed. Well, that is a product that has proven to be really quite good. The Traverse, the Acadia, the midsize utility vehicles. So there you go. Sergey, Tudor Black Bay 58 Blue Dial versus Omega Seamaster 300M. Well, I have an Omega 300M. I quite like it. And I have an original Tudor Snowflake, which is the blue. We're on to watches now. If you don't know, I do get a lot of questions also about watches. I'm into watches. You might have noticed that there might be something new on the old Zachman's wrist. I just got this the other day. Do you know what it is? Does anybody know what it's called? Do you know what this is? It's white. And it has a nickname. Does anybody know what it is? So if it was between, I could only have one or the other, it would be the Black Bay. But they're both great. So I have the Omega Seamaster in blue, and I have the original Snowflake in blue. So I'm very happy. And I have this new one. Does anybody know what it is? If the watch nerds out there are watching, they might know. Hey, Zach, what are your thoughts on the 18 Chevy Cruze hatchback? I'm a big fan of the Chevy Cruze. I think the Chevy Cruze is a fine car. And here's the interesting thing about the Chevy Cruze. It is another vehicle that is scored particularly well. If you look at the absolute data, don't listen to that. What's that idiot on YouTube who always craps all over General Motors vehicles? Scotty Kilmer. Don't listen to him. Try the Chevy Cruze if you like it. I'm actually considering one as our next family car, a Chevy Cruze. It's between a Corolla, a Civic, and a Chevy Cruze. Probably going to go with one of the Japanese because they come with more standard safety features. And the number one reason is, I would have got a Cruze, is that in British Columbia you get a discount on insurance if you have forward collision warning. That's the only reason. What's your take on Alfa and Maserati? Has your review any of vehicles? Greetings from Lima, Peru. Well, first of all, hello in South America. Nice to see you. Yes, there are some Alfa reviews on the channel. So go to the channel and type in Alfa. You'll see them there. We got another super chat bubbling up here. I love these super chats, by the way. I'm all down for that. Jerome is back. Forgot to drop my contribution. Cheers. Well, I'll drink to that. Jerome, I wish you all the best of luck with your new Volvo. I'm glad I could help. Justin W. is guessing Polar Explorer. No, it's not a Polar Explorer. Not a Polar Explorer. I had one of those. I just sold it. I actually sold it and bought this. And have a bunch of cash left over. Okay. How's it? Hey, you know what? You guys can jump in, and I might not read them on the live chat, but I'd like to hear. We got a couple of hundred people on here now. How's everything going for you during COVID? Are you working? Are you underemployed? Are you unemployed? Like, how's it going for you? I'm hoping that we're going to be able to sort of bounce back. I mean, in my line of work, I'm not back to where I was, but I'm about 60% there, but that's fine. I can deal with that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how you guys are doing. Is everything okay? A lot of people really took it on the chin with COVID financially. It's been tough, but hopefully everybody's doing okay and bouncing back. Okay, I gotta find where I was. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, I sure got ahead of myself here, didn't I? Love your videos. I was wondering if you prefer an RX 350 F Sport for a little bit more money over the new Highlander, or should I wait for the new Gen RX to come out sometime in 2022? This is an apples and oranges kind of thing, unless you're talking about the longer version of the RX, which really isn't a 7-seater 3-row. It's really a 5+2. So yeah, I mean the new Highlander is fine. I think they did a good job with it. The RX, it comes down to if you need the 3rd row. If you don't need the 3-row, why are you buying a Highlander? Just get the RX. If you need the 3rd row, Get the Highlander, because I don't think the RX is really competition for that. All right, just yeah. Here's somebody else saying Coco Chanel is saying don't like the look of the Mazda RF at all. I'm with you. This is Colin saying, I drive a Mini Cooper all winter in Alberta with winter tires, never get stuck. Just don't be heading where you shouldn't. So this is following up on a question earlier. Somebody was asking about driving an M240 BMW rear-wheel drive in the winter. And so, yeah, it can be done. I would suggest it's slightly different driving a Mini with the front-wheel drive. It's certainly going to help. But, yeah, use your brain. Don't be driving in over your head. And get on with it, and you should be fine. Jeff is here. Question: we leased a 19 Santa Fe using all our equity and our MKX for 4 years. What would you suggest to do at lease end? Buy it out or sell it and keep it? Well, Jeff, you have to really look at the value in the marketplace of that, right? So you want to go to CanadianBlackBook.com. And as you get, like, don't look at it now. It's only been 1 year, right? So as you're getting towards the end of the lease, you'll be able to see if in the marketplace, what the value is at the buyout for wholesale, which is what a dealer would pay, which is going to be very close to what your lease amount buyout is, because they calculate that in quite well. What they're selling for in the marketplace. And then the big differentiating factor is, how many kilometers are on your car. So, you pay for a bucket of mileage, right? Excuse me, say it's 20,000 kilometers a year times 4, that's 80,000 K. If you've only driven 50,000, you've paid for the extra 30, right? So there's a little bit of equity in the vehicle. So you have to decide whether you can go to the dealer and say, hey, listen, if I give you this car back, you're going to be able to flip it and put it on your lot and make a nice little profit. Let's do a deal. You give me a little bit more than what my buyout is worth and put that into the next car as a down payment, so you can deal with them that way. You can buy the car out and try and sell it privately, but there's a tax implication because you have to buy it out, pay tax on that, and then sell it. Or you can give it back. But these are all things you have to go through as you get towards the end of the lease, okay? But it's good that you're thinking that way, because a lot of people don't do the math on these things, and they just give the car back and they don't realize there might have equity in it. For example, we had an Audi A7. This was 2 years ago. We don't drive very far because we live right in the middle of the city, just a function of where we live. And we leased the car for the 4 years, and the buyout amount was low, and we had a lot of kilometers in it. So we actually bought it and resold it, but did it through our business, so there was less tax implication. So yeah, it can be done, and you can actually make a little bit of money. Eric is saying notifications are broken. I'm wondering if the notifications aren't working because I'm using this app, Ecamm Live. I'm wondering if, because it sets everything up for me in YouTube, if that's the reason why. Sorry, I'm just trying to, there's some people talking back and forth in the chats here. Daniel is saying, my son decided to order a Tesla 3 long range. By the way, AVI watch was broken, so I changed for a Bull of a Moon watch. Your friend from Rimouski. All right. I think you sent me pictures of that watch, didn't you? Bull of a Moon watch. If you're going to get a moon watch, you want to get a mega moon watch. Not that there's anything wrong with your watch. James is saying, I always forget to hit the like button until I'm reminded. So smash the like button. Why would you buy a Mustang when you can get a Supra, which is a much better car? It's also more expensive, dude. Like, I mean, you can get a Mustang You don't have to go all out, but yeah. And the other thing is, Mustang GT has 460 horsepower. That's crazy. Matt's here saying, I bought a Stinger GT Limited last month and absolutely love it. Picked it up over the G70 for the sportback design and functionality. It's a big car. I mean, got that huge trunk. It's a lot like the A7 that we used to have. I totally get it. And I think that it's a really nice design as well. Forte 5 GT Limited or Elantra GT N-Line Unlimited. Though they're basically the same car, right? Like they're the same platform, same engines, all that kind of stuff. Now there might be some differences in the trims, but pick the one you like. Mazda 6 or Camry? I need to know which one you're thinking of. Base model Camry, Turbo 6, Mazda 6, Camry Hybrid. Need a little more information. Ted is saying he's got a year on an Audi Q8, no issues. Well, that's good. I was talking a minute ago about the infotainment systems and people having problem with it. See, I don't think it's the actual MMI touch system. It works. I think it's the delivery of the vehicle to the end user and not explaining it. And once the system is explained to you, it's actually quite logical the way they've done it. But if you don't and you just fumble around with it, you're going to go back to the dealer and say, I don't know how to use this thing. So a big problem with whether it's MBUX or it's the MMI Touch is the dealers have to explain it to the customers. And some people just are not tech savvy and they just don't get it. So it just could be that as well. Opinion on the 2021 Nissan Rogue, is it worth the wait? Yeah, I think that if you want the newest and the latest, I mean, it's certainly thrown a lot at this. You know, people have asked here on the channel over the last year, what do you think about Nissan? Are they going to be able to, you know, survive and all these sorts of things? And I said, the way you get into trouble is with product, but the way you get out of it is with product. And what I've seen from Nissan over the last couple of examples, the Rogue being one, the new, not the Ultima, the Sentra, really well done. Like they've done a really good job with them. That new Sentra is fantastic. I encourage anybody, if you're looking for a Corolla or a Civic, Sentra should be in the mix now. They did a very good job. So yeah, I think that if you're wanting the newest and the latest, it's certainly worth it. If you're looking for a great deal, then you can strike on the existing model that they have, get a big discount, go to Car Cost Canada, popped up there, go to Car Cost Canada, find out what those incentives are as they try to build down the inventory and get ready for the new one. James is saying, tagline, Miata is always the answer. What if a 911 feels like your answer? Your thoughts? I don't understand what that means. Tagline, Miata is always the answer. What if 911 feels like your answer? I don't know what that means. James, I love the effort and I appreciate the super chat, but you lost me, dude. So some people are trying to figure out, somebody got it right. Somebody got it right. About the watch. Zach, you bought an Omega Seamaster GMT Great White, a Diver Great White. So this watch, the nickname is called the Great White. And they only made it for about, I don't know, 10 or so years. Can't get it anymore. Yeah, so it's an Omega Seamaster Great White. Good eye. But I had an Explorer, and I sold it. Explorer 2. All right, where are we now? I got to go back to where I was. See, these super chats throw me off because I got to go to the bottom of the page to put it on the screen, and I got to go back. And anyway, these are my problems. But you just have to. Billy also got it. He says it's an Omega. Yeah, good eye. Okay, where the hell was I? Sorry, guys. I apologize for this. I mean, it's this is where I need a producer. It'd be nice to have a producer. Okay, where the hell was I? Notifications are broken. All right, that's where I was. All right. Yeah, this is a good question. Richard is saying, how many get the I could have had a V8 line? So if you watch the Performance Pack EcoBoost video that went out today, at the very end, I said the whole time I was driving it, I was thinking I could have had a V8. Now, that is an old ad on TV. It's not that old, but some will get it, some might not get it. Now, I didn't do the palm on my head. I did it for Motoring TV. So I did a version of that video that'll be on Motoring TV, and I did that at the end. I could have had a V8. So V8 is a drink, and that was their ad. I could have had a V8. Okay, sorry. Same thing again. I got to keep finding where that frickin' R was. Is the Nissan Rogue worth it? Okay, here we go. I bought an 18 Mazda 3 based on your review. Such a fun car. Well, there you go. I'm glad you like it. It is a great little car. Hey, Zach, is Mitsubishi pulling out of Canada? No. I just got an email from Mitsubishi PR sort of running down what's coming from Mitsubishi next year. They have several new models or updated models. They're coming, and they're making plans. I think Mitsubishi does quite well in the Canadian market. You know, not big numbers, but they certainly... there was a report this week that they're pulling out of Europe or some European markets. So, yeah, I don't know. Ted is saying we need a frickin' Car Cost USA. There might be something like it. I don't know. There probably is a service like it, but I don't know what it is. Here's another one. Payman says it's a Tag Heuer Formula One. Interesting. I have one of those. I have one. Actually, Andrea, when Andrea and I got engaged, she got a diamond ring, and then I got a Tag Heuer Formula One as my engagement gift. And then it's a quartz watch, and then I got into automatic watches and more prestigious sort of watches. But the interesting thing is my son Charlie, who's 15, he's been wearing it. It looks great on him. And I have another one. There's a Seiko SKX 007. They're waiting to get a new bracelet for it. Should be coming in the mail anytime soon. So yeah, that's the one that Charlie was wearing, was the SKX. But then needed the new strap, so he's now got the Tag Heuer Formula One. So he's been wearing that. Looks great on him too. But all these watches, I seem to have them. Namaste, Zach. Working since early COVID days. Well, I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're working. I'm really hopeful that the hit to the economy is not going to be as bad as everybody has been suggesting. Would you buy a used RS5 or S5? Well, dude, if you can afford the RS5 and you can afford the maintenance and you can afford the gas, it's RS5 all day. Sandeep is asking, RAV4 Trail, Subaru Forester versus Tiguan. Which one would you pick? Well, do you need the extra space? You need the third row of the Tiguan. Because if that's the answer, if that's the a part of it, then that one wins. I would probably, of those three, pick the RAV4. It's a bit noisy. They know that, by the way. Speaking to the RAV4, or sorry, the Toyota engineers and PR people, they know it's noisy. So I suspect there's going to be some kind of updates to that in the next year or so. But personally, I just like the look of the RAV4. I know it sounds shallow, but I got to like the look of the car. And, you know, the Subaru Forester is really kind of a face only a mother could love. The Tiguan's not bad looking, not enough power for me, the weight and all that. Plus, I don't like CVT, so that one would be out. And these are all personal things. You know, try them all. Buy the one you like. They're all fine. Mikote is saying, I work in the video game industry. The sales are increasing since people are stuck at home. Well, that's good. Jerry is saying, work-wise, things are starting to normalize as COVID-19 drops in Ontario. That's good to hear. Kevin is saying, been working since the beginning, worked for a financial institution in Quebec. Our colleagues who do car financing have never been busier. Well, you're reaffirming what I've been hearing out there is that it's been very, very busy when it comes to car sales right now. Kevin is saying, I've been in the office every day since COVID. You're probably in the office by yourself. I'm sure you are. James is saying, I live in the land of big trucks and expensive cars. I'm proud to drive something smaller and fuel efficient. Car nerd. John is saying, worked all the way through COVID. Hardware stores were open. Yeah, if you work in one of those businesses that everybody wanted a piece of, whether it was grocery stores. My son works part-time at one of the Canadian Tires here. They did record numbers during COVID. So there you go. It's good to hear. Well, I'm glad to hear that people are working, and good for you guys. Okay, we're up against the clock. It's been an hour. Not only do I have dinner, Andrea's making, I got to take the dog for a walk after that. And then we have some neighbors coming over for some social distancing drinks on the deck. So I've already had a head start. And cheers to you all. If I don't read your comment on the show, I do read it after. We'll be back again on Monday. Now for here in British Columbia and for most of Canada, this is a long weekend. So I am planning to do the live show on Monday. If, however, a barbecue pops up and I get a better offer, to be honest with you, I will not be here. But right now, I'm planning on being here Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then we'll be back every Monday and Thursday from then on. Okay? Thanks to everybody. Enjoy your weekend coming up. If it's a long weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye now.